Democrats lost every swing state and a complete disaster for the Democrats in terms of the Senate, which they lost, the presidency, which they also lost, and the House, which they can soon lose, depending on how things go with California. Now, in my opinion, Democrats are running an obsolete style of program to reach voters and to get voters excited. People don't believe in the institutions anymore. They just don't. We can look here from 1958 to 2024. Back in 1958, the moving average was 73%. Now we go to modern day. It is at 22%. Less than 1/4 of Americans have great trust in the government and the institutions. We're talking about like the media. And when you're talking about Congress itself, it goes down even lower. So what do you do if you're Democrats and people don't trust the government? People don't have big trust in the institutions. Of course, you run the heavily institutional coded politician. Now, I know there's people who are going to be talking about, but Kamala Harris has this type of policy right here that is actually very progressive. None of that matters. What matters more is rhetoric, because most people aren't running around looking at all these data points. What they are seeing are TikTok clips. They're seeing a bit of maybe the news, if that, which I'll talk about later. And it all proves in the data here and the fact that Democrats got pummeled. The gender gap didn't really materialize. Latino voters shifted to Donald Trump about 25 percentage points. And Bernie Sanders came out with a great statement. It should come as to no surprise that Democrat Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that working class people has abandoned them. While Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and they won't change. Now, what Bernie Sanders is talking about is that people are pissed. People realize that they've been basically forgotten by an entire class, which are the people at the very top, and they are all swimming in money while everybody else has nothing. And we can talk about, Joe Biden's policy here and there, child tax credit, which slashed child poverty in half. But the issue is Democrats don't talk about it. They never talk about it. When Donald Trump does anything at all, heck, even when he doesn't do it, he goes out there and talk about it nonstop. You never hear the end of Donald Trump. But Democrats want to be quiet about everything, and they really don't get it. They don't get it. And I know this because we have Jamie Harrison here, chair of the DNC, to Bernie Sanders' statement here. This is straight up BS. Biden was the most pro-worker president of my lifetime. Saved union pensions, created millions of good paying jobs, and even marched in the picket line. And some of the MVP plans would have fundamentally transformed the quality of life and closed the racial wealth gap for working people across this country. From the child tax credits to $25,000 down payment for a house to Medicare covering the cost of senior health care in their homes. There are a lot of post-election takes, and this is not a good one. While all of those policies Joe Biden did and accomplished, they don't talk about it, and people don't know about it. So guess what? It is in one ear, out the other. They don't care because people want to be sold a vision. People want to be sold the vibes. And if you ask a bunch of people right now, the voters, through these polls, they would have told you that Donald Trump is better on the economy. Not because Donald Trump is going to help them. Heck no. We already know what Donald Trump did. He had the 2017 tax cuts, which most of the tax cuts went to the wealthy. But why do those people believe that Donald Trump is going to help them? Donald Trump sells them a vision. He tells them over and over and over again that currently they're living in a dump and that he's going to fix it because people realize, hey, we do kind of live in a dump. I'm broke as crap. And this guy over here is talking about how he's going to fix it. And if you look on the Democrat side, all you have are these cliche talking points where they're talking about the stars in the city on a hill, all that bullcrap that nobody cares about. The era of the 1990s are over. This domo arigato, Mr. Roboto crap isn't going to work anymore. When you ask Kamala Harris a question and she's like, when I was a child, I grew up in a household family just like yours. Nobody buys it. Everybody know it is like a talking point written out by a bunch of people who graduated from Harvard and are now consultants. Nobody buys it. Everybody ignores it. And I know they ignored it. Did Joe Biden drop out? Google searches spike on election night, suggesting many Americans had no idea he wasn't even running. So you look here, and people were shocked to find out that Joe Biden wasn't even running because the ground game that Kamala Harris ran was weak. Now, they had millions and millions of dollars, but where did it go? I don't know, because when this is the result, you know something is wrong, and you can't keep running these robotic politicians. You have to sound like a normal person these days. People want to hear populist language. That is why Donald Trump won. Nobody cares about the fact that you grew up middle class. Nobody cares about any of that because people can recognize that they're being marketed to. It's like when you're watching a football game or a basketball game and then some Cheetos commercial come on. Does that make you want to buy Cheetos? Probably not, because you know you're smart enough to recognize you're being marketed to. Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is probably the most inauthentic person to ever live, I mean, the man has like golden plates in his house, but he knows how to market in a way that emotionally grips his audience and get people over to him. Even though he is a guy who lived a multi-millionaire, billionaire lifestyle all of his life, he knows how to reach the average day person. And the Democrats have not learned that lesson yet. But they need to learn soon or they'll never win again. And there's plenty of other reasons why Kamala Harris didn't perform well. But one of the biggest reasons I would say is that they generally have some of the worst messaging I've ever seen.